Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP. And I got a visit from a social worker, the boendestöd, which, yeah, I got this for sure. That's who they are. Yeah, it says, so they're a social worker to like help you out at home, but they can also help you out with other things. So the things that they're going to help me out is, well, basically some chores at home. They're not going to be actually doing the thing, but they're just going to be around. I don't think that they do much, they just stand around, but they're kind of like a motivator. And they said that they're kind of like human alarm clocks, you could say, which, they were less scary than I thought they would be. They were two that came to my house, and they were respectful. They did not like comment on anything that they saw, like judging my house or whatever. Like I told them that there are certain things that I do that are completely illogical to anybody from the outside, but you got to just let me do things in this way because I can't do it. Like, I'll just get angry at you if you suggest that I do it differently. And I know it's completely stupid and, like I'm a little brat here, just like saying that I don't want to change and, being completely impossible to deal with and making problems for myself. But I guess that's part of having a neurodevelopmental disability, I guess, I don't want to pathologize and medicalize myself, but yeah, my brain does have a hard time doing things that it's supposed to do. And so this thing with social workers is supposed to be, it's not for your whole life. It's like supposed to be as a limited amount of time. So you might need these people at a certain period of your life, or you might decide that, oh no, actually I'm doing better. It's provided for free apparently since 2022, but it used to be not that much money. But so they might help me with like getting myself to do the dishes regularly. They can send me SMS to like remind me to do certain tasks around the house. They might send me an SMS for like, okay, it's time to do your laundry now, or that kind of thing. Which I don't know what the difference is between that and a reminder, but it's like it's forcing me. I had a hard time in the morning because I felt the stress, like I was giving myself a stomach ache. And I did clean my house before they came, so in a way it worked. It worked because I was scared of the people, not because they did anything really. But I guess that's kind of how their job works. It works by whatever means possible to get me to do the stuff that needs doing. I do see that on this brochure that they actually talk about how you can get support if you want to go to a doctor or go to any kind of like public entity, or what do they call it? Like, I guess that if you went to go to the bank or to some other place. I'm wondering if these people can help me out with taking me to the dentist, because I really, really need to go to the dentist. I don't know if I have holes in my teeth. I do have bleeding gums in my teeth, and I'm aware that I have been really bad at brushing my teeth my whole life. So I am trying to brush my teeth every morning and not only in the evening, but I need to get my teeth checked up, preferably at some point during this year. I haven't been to the dentist in like, I don't know how many years. And it's really extremely traumatic for me because I had braces for 8 years when I was, but like my whole teenage years basically. And I have a lot of trauma around that because then I got operated because of my jaw, and I started coughing up a ton of blood, and then I ended up in the hospital, and you know, I was 18 and like in the adult ward, and it was really a whole thing. And so my teeth, also I have different, after the operation, like I don't feel the gums on the top of my teeth. So I don't know, I can only feel pain basically. So I can't, so if I floss, or you know, who flosses? I don't floss, but if I brush my teeth too hard and it draws blood, I feel pain, but I don't feel the gums like I do on the lower teeth, you know? Something happened there during the operation. And so I have a really hard time knowing like what is happening in my mouth. I also think that my interoception is like not great in that area either, because I've kind of dissociated myself from my teeth. So it's a whole thing. So if I could get these people to help me, take me there, I would be so grateful. Because none of my friends can go, and I don't even think that I want a friend to go. Like I want somebody who, you know, a professional. Like I can't really deal with it on my own. And yeah, I don't know, I get really scared about this. And so after they came, I went out, but I started feeling like really, yeah. I went out because it's the only sunny day this week. Like it's been raining all the time, except for today. And I, you know, had a nice time, I guess, but I started feeling the exhaustion coming, and I started feeling like, oh no, I need to go home because I'm going to melt down. And so I went home and I fell asleep. So the whole day has gone basically, and yeah, so I guess it's good that I'm crying now, because like I couldn't get myself to do it. I was holding myself together, you know. Thankfully I had like one of those stim toys with me, like my little ball. I was squishing that because I couldn't deal with talking to these people. And it kind of defeats the purpose, you know, like if a person comes to your house to give you the energy to do things, but then you don't, then afterwards you're completely falling apart. I told them about this problem. I told them that also that I could get angry, but I wouldn't know until after they left, and that I would get really tired after they left. And like, and they said, yeah, well, we would like to know about these things so that we can help you the best way. And I was like, yeah, but you won't know during the time that you're here, because I'm not going to, like, I'll be masking, you know, if somebody's coming and meeting me for the first time, and, you know, or, you know, doing things in their job, you know, meeting me in their job, I can't just like show my true emotions on my face, like, you know. And also I don't know what I'm feeling until it's too late, you know. My processing is very slow. So like here I am, like 20 minutes late. 20 minutes. Why am I saying that? It's like 8 hours later. I don't know why 20 minutes was what came to my mind. Anyway, they said, like, you know, that there are different ways of putting it. Like, either you tell them, like, this is what we're going to do today, or you can decide these things together. They might help me with cooking food, because it's not sustainable for me to keep doing HelloFresh. Like, the problem is also they don't work during weekends, so HelloFresh is something that I can only get on Saturdays, and so I can't, like, if I do the recipes, like, it will take my energy for the whole day, basically, so I need to plan it all out. Now, these people are going to be coming once a week, which is like their minimum, and it's like for an hour at a time, I guess. They can stay there an hour and a half, because I think that it's going to be from 3:30 until 5, because, you know, I finish work at 3 due to me working 80%. So that might be what we'll have to do. You know, we have certain goals of like me doing these things independently one day. Yeah, I don't know. I just, before they came, I was like, yeah, I'm going to tell them that I don't want this. Because you guys have seen me having the meltdown last time that we had this discussion. They did say that they might help me in finding a calendar that might work for me. They have like certain weekly calendars where you can write stuff down and they can personalize it to me. They also said that they can help me with my contact with maybe getting an occupational therapist, because at the moment I feel it's so ridiculous, because like I'm a doctor, like I usually know, like, you know, who to call, who to you know, what's the best way to, who's the most specialist in this area or whatever. But I can't seem to know where to find myself an occupational therapist, because I thought that it would be at this neuro rehab place, the place for autistic people, basically. And no, apparently, because their occupational therapist is on a family leave, and the other one that is there only takes their previous patients, the ones that are already in a treatment. So I don't have an occupational therapist, and I don't know if I'm supposed to go to my regular healthcare center, my GP center. But thing is, I went to see one time, and then she told me, well, we need to wait until your autism assessment, and once you get your autism diagnosis, you can just go to the occupational therapist there. But they don't know that I don't have an occupational therapist there. So I don't know who to call, you know, or if I need to make several phone calls. I really hope that that's not the case. I do also like that they have like that they try to, they're flexible about things. So I said, I don't want phone calls, I don't like phone calls. And they said, you can send us an SMS and we can send you SMS. And I was like, oh yeah, that's good. I'm fine with SMS. So that's nice. And then they asked me if there's any way for me to accommodate to my sensory issues. And I said, no, my problem is that this house is not conceived with sensory issues in mind. You know, like my refrigerator makes noises, it's old, and the ventilation in my bathroom is old as well and just decides to turn itself on in the middle of the night. And like my laundry room smells of mold, and my sink is too low for me. Like I'm too tall, so it hurts my back to do my dishes. And also everything makes too much noise. Like I can hear my neighbors and stuff. So all of that, there's nothing I can do. And they said, well, and I said, didn't like when the doorbell rang, because the doorbell is really loud. And they said, well, we can knock on the door instead. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I want you guys to knock on the door. Maybe I'll have to tell them to knock on the door. I can't stand the doorbell. It's so loud and so jarring. And yeah, I can't do that. I'm also on edge because I happen to be listening to an audiobook that started well, and then it developed from there, because it's called Some of Our Parts by Laura Kennedy, and it's about how labels don't define us, which I thought would be an interesting premise, you know, kind of outside of my comfort zone, because this whole channel is about labels, right? But when she came to the autism label, you know, she goes through our different labels, like one label is feminist, one label is Irish, because she's Irish, and one label is depressed, and then one label is autistic. You know, she's like diagnosed autistic. But yeah, I'll probably make a separate video about that. But she was basically saying that people use autism as an excuse, and that the label is not useful to her. And okay, so maybe it's not useful to her, but it is useful to a lot of people. So I felt like it was a bit dismissive of other people who find the label useful, you know? And yeah, so that wasn't the right book to listen to. But I didn't know before reading the book that she would be autistic. I guess that's why it's ended up in my recommended on Goodreads, because, you know, the algorithm or whatever, it knows that I've read a lot of autism books, so I didn't know that this book would be specifically about autism, having like a huge chunk of the book about that. But yeah, so it got me a little bit on edge. Yeah, so I have a few questions to these social workers. This is extremely embarrassing for me to talk about, but I do want to talk about it because I want people to know how, you know, being autistic actually is, and what kind of help there is for somebody like me who on the outside does not look like they need accommodations. Every autistic person needs autistic accommodations. That's why they're autistic. They got the diagnosis because it gives them, you know, difficulties. And so we all have a need for support, of extra support, compared to people who aren't autistic, or, you know, people who don't have a disability. And so this is something that Sweden offers to the people. It's coupled to your town, so I can only speak for how it is in my town, but I think that it works pretty much similarly in every town in Sweden. They're like a team of people, so I can't be sure that it's going to be these two that will be there every time, especially during the summer. but they have a certain amount of people that's they have a list of people, and they give me the phone numbers of those people. So they're trying to keep it to the least amount of people as possible, but it won't be possible always to have the same person. So they try to limit it to 2 people, but it might turn out to be more, which is a shame, because it's like the whole point is trying to start to get to know somebody, and then it's like suddenly there's some new person who has no idea about who I am or what I want or anything. But they will give me a warning with like an SMS beforehand if it's a new person. So I think that this can work out. It's just very strange for me to deal with the situation, because technically this is something that maybe my parents would have needed to teach me when I was small, and I did not get that. Not that my parents were like, abusive or neglectful. I think that they had their own neurodivergencies going on, and so they wanted to teach me what helped them through life, and what helped them through life was their careers, and knowing how to do chores was, they didn't need to think about it as much as I do, and so they didn't teach me that stuff. Also, so they would have themselves needed this kind of help, because they live in a hoarder house where you can't basically do things effectively, and it leads to bad mental health for them, So I'm doing what my parents couldn't do, break the cycle, all of that. It doesn't have to be traumatic stuff for it to be breaking a negative cycle of generations. Because I think that there is something there. My parents, I don't know what they have, what diagnoses they have, but they are not regular functioning people, let's just say it that way. I don't know. And I don't need to be defined by that. I can like work to try to gain those skills that they couldn't teach me, and I can accept help when it is offered, and get over this sense of ridiculous pride, this embarrassment, because I've achieved a lot of things, and I can't reveal that I have this to most people in my life, because like they see me in a certain way, and I don't want them to see me as incapable, because this is quite a stigmatized thing to not be able to take care of your daily chores. That's seen as irresponsible, and it's seen as that you're not even a real person. You're not an adult, you're not a person even. So this is very difficult for me, but it's fine, because I'm trying. It's not going to be easy, but yeah, so today was just a discussion. It wasn't even like me doing anything with them, but it was important to get this discussion, and so that we can start. So we're starting next week already. We'll see how that goes. I still might cancel. I still might decide that this is not for me right now, but I'm going to try. I'm going to give it a good try, and if it doesn't work out, then okay, then I can at least say that I've tried, and maybe work on some other area of my life. So yeah, That's all I had to say. I'm going to go have a cry now. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.